Let us talk about energy flow in ecosystem. We talked about the introduction I gave last time on the energy flow in ecosystem. Today I'll talk about energy flow in an ecosystem, which can be explained according to two models. One is single channel energy flow model and the second one is Y-shaped energy flow model. In the single channel energy flow model, the energy is represented to flow like in a single pipeline or a single channel. The flow of energy follows the two laws of thermodynamics. Energy inflow into the ecosystem balances outflow as required by the first law of thermodynamics, and energy transfer in an ecosystem is accompanied by dispersion of energy into unavailable heat, that is respiration, as required by the second law of thermodynamics. Now to explain the first model, if you look at the top of the diagram, you can see the trophic levels written as producers and consumers. Consumers include the herbivores and carnivores, all represented as boxes. If you look at the left of the diagram, you can see a big channel where total amount of light falls on the producers. The total amount of light is 3000 kilocalories, which is written at the bottom of the figure. Now, when the total amount of light which falls on the producers, part of it is lost, and the amount that is assimilated by the plants will be less than 3000, and that 3000 kilocalories is also lost due to heat, respiration and death from the plants. So the amount of energy, or we call it the net primary production, is only 15. The PN is only 15, and this is the amount of energy that can be, or that will be available to the herbivores for assimilation. But before it reaches the herbivores, you can see NU is written. That means it is unutilized energy. Okay, so that means some amount of energy is lost into the atmosphere and written as unutilized energy. So the 15 PN which reaches the herbivores, the amount that is it will that the 15 kilocalories will be assimilated by the herbivores, but part of it is again lost due to respiration and death in the herbivores. So you can see that as the pipeline goes down, you can see that the amount of energy that will be available to the carnivores is 1.5 kilocalories. But on the way again, you can see that there is a small pipe again which is showing upwards. That means there is a loss of, or unutilized energy is lost. So the amount that is assimilated by the carnivores is only 0.3 kilocalories of energy, as it is written P3. So the figure represents a very simplified energy flow through three trophic levels. From this figure, it becomes evident that the energy flow is greatly reduced at each trophic level, from producers to herbivores and then to carnivores. Further, the flow of energy is unidirectional and the energy never flows backwards. Thus, at each transfer of energy from one trophic level to another, major part of energy is lost as heat or respiration or other form. There is a successive reduction in energy flow, whether we consider it in terms of total flow, that is total energy input and total assimilation, or secondary production and respiration components. Thus, of 3000 kilocalories of total light falling onto the green plants, which I've already explained, approximately 1500 kilocalories is absorbed, of which only 15 kilocalories is converted at the first trophic level by the producers. Thus, net primary production is only 15 kilocalories. Out of 15 kilocalories available to the primary consumers, like the herbivores, due to loss of energy, due to respiration and death, only along with unutilized energy, only 1.5 kilocalories is assimilated by the herbivores. Thus, the net secondary production, P2, written in the diagram, is only 1.5 kilocalories. Further, when this energy is transferred to the secondary consumers, which is written as P3 in the diagram, only 0.3 kilocalories is assimilated, whereas rest is lost due to respiration and death. It becomes evident from the figure that there is successive reduction in energy flow at successive trophic levels. Thus, shorter the food chain, greater would be the available food energy. With an increase in the length of the food chain, there is a corresponding loss of energy. Now we go on to the Y-shaped energy flow model. The Y-shaped energy flow model depicts the simultaneous working of grazing and detritus food chains in natural conditions in an ecosystem. The grazing food chain starts with green plants as producers, and energy flow continues to the herbivores. The detritus food chain begins with dead organic matter acted by microbes, and the energy passes to detrivores and their carnivores. For instance, dead bodies of small animals that were part of the grazing food chain become incorporated in the detritus food chain, as do the feces of grazing food animals. So if you look at the figure, this is the model, the Y-shaped energy flow model. You can see that the sunlight, when it falls on the plants, it can be eaten by the deer, which can again further be eaten by the lion. This is the grazing food chain. If you look at the other food chain that goes simultaneously, on the lower half of the figure, you can see the plants, when they die, the dead plant matter can be eaten by the ants. The ants can also eat the dead deer or dead lion, and these ants can be eaten by the anteater, which actually is a part of the detritus food chain. So side by side, okay, two food chains are running side by side, that is the grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Now if you turn this figure upwards, you can see from the plants to the deer and the ants, the arrows, you can see that it looks like a Y. So this is why it is known as the Y-shaped energy flow model. The importance of the Y-shaped model of energy flow is that the two chains are not isolated from each other. The Y-shaped model is more realistic and practical working model than the single channel model. Thus, the Y-shaped energy flow model is also called the universal model of energy flow. Thank you.